from death, the destroyer of worlds.
J. Robert Oppenheimer, 1904 to 1967, was a theoretical physicist who played a critical role in one of the most transformative and morally fraught events in human history, the development of the atomic bomb. As the scientific director of the Manhattan Project during World War II, Oppenheimer spearheaded the creation of nuclear weapons, a feat that marked the dawn of the nuclear age. However, his legacy is not merely that of a brilliant physicist, it also encompasses deep ethical concerns, political controversy, and profound reflections on the responsibilities of science. Early life and intellectual formation. Oppenheimer was born into an affluent Jewish family in New York City on April 22, 1904. His father, a textile importer, and his mother, a painter, provided a cultured, supportive environment that nurtured young Robert's intellectual curiosity. From an early age, he exhibited a precocious intellect, reading widely in both science and the humanities. His ability to engage deeply with literature, philosophy, and languages complemented his growing interest in science, laying the foundation for a lifelong blend of scientific and humanistic inquiry. He entered Harvard University in 1922, initially majoring in chemistry but soon gravitating toward theoretical physics. Oppenheimer's academic brilliance allowed him to complete a 4-year degree in just 3 years, during which time he also studied philosophy, history, and literature. His education in these fields would later inform his philosophical reflections on the nature of science and the consequences of its application in society. After Harvard, Oppenheimer pursued graduate studies in Europe, a center of theoretical physics at the time. He worked under prominent physicists such as Max Born at the University of Göttingen, where he earned his PhD in 1927. His doctoral work contributed to quantum mechanics, particularly the Born-Oppenheimer approximation, a key theoretical tool used to describe molecular structure. Oppenheimer's time in Europe also connected him with leading figures in physics, which helped shape his future scientific collaborations. Academic career and contributions to physics. Upon returning to the United States, Oppenheimer joined the faculty at the University of California, Berkeley, and the California Institute of Technology. During the 1930s, he became a leading figure in American physics, making significant contributions to quantum field theory, astrophysics, and the understanding of cosmic rays. Oppenheimer's scientific work earned him respect within the physics community, and he trained a generation of American physicists who would go on to make important discoveries. His intellectual charisma and broad knowledge made him a sought-after teacher and mentor. He could engage deeply with abstract theoretical concepts, but he also maintained a passion for philosophical and political discussions, which reflected his belief that science could not be separated from its social and ethical context. The Manhattan Project, Oppenheimer's role. In 1941, the United States was drawn into World War II following the attack on Pearl Harbor. The possibility that Nazi Germany might develop atomic weapons prompted the US government to accelerate its efforts to build its own atomic bomb. In 1942, Oppenheimer was appointed as the scientific director of the Manhattan Project, a secret wartime program aimed at developing nuclear weapons. The project brought together some of the world's most brilliant scientific minds at Los Alamos, New Mexico, under Oppenheimer's leadership. Despite the immense scientific and technical challenges, Oppenheimer proved to be an exceptional leader. He managed to coordinate the work of theoretical physicists, engineers, chemists, and military officials, keeping the project focused and on track. His deep understanding of physics, along with his diplomatic skills, helped navigate the inevitable conflicts that arose within the highly pressured environment of Los Alamos. On July 16, 1945, the first successful test of an atomic bomb, known as the Trinity test, took place in the New Mexico desert. The blinding explosion and the mushroom cloud that followed were both the culmination of Oppenheimer's efforts and a symbolic beginning of the atomic age. Oppenheimer later recalled that at the moment of the explosion, a verse from the Bhagavad Gita came to mind, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." This quote became emblematic of the moral reckoning that would follow the success of the Manhattan Project. The atomic bombings and Oppenheimer's moral struggles. The success of the Manhattan Project led directly to the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, which effectively ended World War II but resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Japanese civilians. Oppenheimer, like many involved in the project, initially felt that the development of the bomb had been a necessary response to the existential threat posed by Nazi Germany. However, the bomb's actual use against Japan weighed heavily on him. In the immediate aftermath of the war, Oppenheimer experienced deep moral turmoil. His early feelings of pride in the scientific achievement of the bomb were increasingly overshadowed by a sense of guilt and responsibility for the devastation it had caused. He became a leading public advocate for the peaceful control of atomic energy and argued for international cooperation in nuclear arms regulation. Oppenheimer understood that nuclear weapons had fundamentally changed the nature of warfare and human survival, and he feared the consequences of an unchecked nuclear arms race. The fall from grace, political persecution. As the Cold War escalated, Oppenheimer's opposition to the development of the hydrogen bomb, an even more powerful nuclear weapon, put him at odds with figures like Edward Teller and influential members of the US government. His past political affiliations, including ties to communist sympathizers in the 1930s, came under scrutiny during the fervent anti-communist climate of McCarthyism in the early 1950s. In 1954, Oppenheimer faced a humiliating security clearance hearing led by the Atomic Energy Commission, AC, where his loyalty and character were publicly questioned. The hearings culminated in the revocation of his security clearance, a symbolic act that effectively ended his direct influence on US government policy and national security matters. Although Oppenheimer was not convicted of espionage, the process tarnished his reputation, and he became a victim of the political paranoia of the era. Later years and legacy. After his fall from grace, Oppenheimer retreated to a quieter life, continuing to lecture, write, and reflect on the moral dimensions of science. His contributions to the philosophy of science and his advocacy for nuclear arms control maintained his stature as an intellectual giant, even if his political influence had waned. In 1963, he was awarded the Enrico Fermi Award by President Lyndon B. Johnson, a gesture widely seen as a rehabilitation of his public image. Oppenheimer's legacy remains deeply complex. He is celebrated for his scientific genius and his pivotal role in ending World War II, but he is also remembered for the personal anguish he experienced as he grappled with the ethical implications of his work. His story raises enduring questions about the responsibilities of scientists, the morality of technological advancement, and the political pressures that shape the course of history. J. Robert Oppenheimer died in 1967 of throat cancer, but his life continues to serve as a profound case study in the intersection of science, ethics, and politics. His legacy is a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge can have consequences that reach far beyond the laboratory, affecting the fate of entire nations and the future of humanity. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Just hit subscribe and turn on the notifications so we can continue this journey together. Thanks for being awesome, and we can't wait to see you in the next video.